All right, welcome back to Eyes Open Media. It is November 11th, 2017. We're going to go over one article and then we're going to look at the crypto markets after that. And then I'll be back on the main channel, Currency 365, to go through the full Iraq articles and your comments on Facebook and what's going on around the world. Okay, so the study, the mechanisms of corporation of Iraqi U.S. banks. Okay, so let's check this out. It says a new, and remember, we told you guys that they told us that they had linked the Iraqi banks with the United States banks. And then I told you guys that then after that, you're going to start to hear them talk about linking the rest of the world's banks with their banks. So when they launch the private sector, the rate comes out at all the banks internationally, okay, all over the world at the same time. Okay, so first they had to link America. Well, first they had to get right with Saudi Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia is linked to America. They had to get right with Saudi Arabia and open those borders and do deals with them. And then because of that, that brought them into the international stage, really, to be able to lift their value. And then they linked the banks with America, and now they're going to be linking their banks around the world. The CBI, the CBI governor, made a push to the IMF and the World Bank about that, getting that done as quick as possible, to make sure that was ready to go, so he can, if he's ready to go by 1118 to lift the value. So let's see what happens. You know what's interesting? Imagine this. I just thought about this a couple of hours ago and I forgot about it. Now I brought it. It's come back to me a little bit. Imagine on January 1st, 2018, right? A new year. We're about to see the new tax plan put out. I think they have the new tax stuff, and there's something else that they're putting out. Donald Trump and his team are putting out a bunch of new things. The tax plan, the tax stuff, all of that stuff is going on. The tax reforms, and the budget cuts, all of that stuff. The budget cuts, taxes, financial stuff that are all getting done right now, right? Before 1118. And because when 1118 hits, or before that, we could see it before, but when 1118 hits, you know what I mean? They want to make sure that everything's good, for with the new tax plans for 2018. So if Alok's knowing that, then he'll, and knowing that the stuff are ready for 2018, the budget should be open in 2018, then he might wait for 1118. Okay, but imagine 1118. And the rate is 1.18, and Bitcoin is at 10,000. Imagine, like, what are the odds? You know what I mean? What are the odds? January 1st, 1118. The rate is 1.18, and Bitcoin is at 10,000. What are the odds of that gonna happen, right? That would be amazing, right? We'll see. Nothing's guaranteed, but that would be awesome to start the year of 2018. Anyways, let's see here. Let's go through this. It says a new stage adopted by Iraqi banks with direct openness to the American banking sector through the examination of mechanisms and corporations and access to mutually beneficial understanding and contribute effectively, to the economic development process that Iraq is waiting for. The advanced banks dealing with banking affairs. Ali describes meetings with U.S. banks in the task, which included clarification on the reality of the work of Iraqi banks and the environment and mechanisms to catch up with sophisticated banks around the world. The meeting with the American side were twofold. The first in New York, and the most important ways of drying up the source of terrorist funding, okay, or financing. Either one's fine. Okay, so and then it says, and then the other part in Washington. Okay, so they had a meeting in New York, and then they had a meeting in Washington, and it was about drying up the resources or sources of terrorist finance. Now, Abadi did say that he was going to be putting people in prison from the GUI, and the reason why is because they're still financing terrorism. Okay, they're financing terrorism all around the world, and they were used to do it through the auctions. Now the auctions are mostly remittance and digital, and no longer cash. And so now they're trying to find different ways. They did it through fake projects, humanitarian projects, and I know a lot of us are still waiting on our humanitarian projects, and that we're not going to see that until they raise the value. Then the people at the top of those humanitarian projects will have the funding to then sprinkle it down to our companies and stuff like that. Okay, once again, I don't have a company. I am a shareholder. I'm a big shareholder in one of the companies that are supposed to receive humanitarian funding. And then from that, I'm going to most likely get a buyout deal for the shares that I own in the company. And so it's my shares plus several other people in my group, and it's over six figures easily. So that we hold in that company, and so yeah, we'll be getting bought out for seven figures easily, definitely. But that's after the revaluation. Okay, that has nothing to do with humanitarian fundings are put on hold because they don't have any funding to allocate to these green companies that are going to be helping humanity, right? So I wanted to make sure that was clear. Okay, so let me see here. What else can we talk about? It says the representative of the U.S. Treasury and Embassy in Baghdad, John, he talked about the international support to combat money laundering and financing terrorism in Iraq. Iraq has achieved during the past years extraordinary progress in the financial sector, and in turn, we support Iraq in this direction, which achieves development, calling the disclosure of the achievements achieved through advertising in various media as the international community follows the reality of money in Iraq and has a desire to know more achievements that are achieved here. Man, so much achieved. How many times are they going to put the word achieve in there? Okay. So it says the banks will see the reality of the work of the Iraq financial sector. Now, it says the American banks. Okay, so the American banks will see the reality of the work of the Iraqi financial sector. The American banks. Now, why is that? Is it because when they launched the private sector and they released the rate, the American banks will then have to deal with about, let's say, 2.5 million people or more that hold the IQD and are going to be coming in for transactions, and they're going to be making the commissions off the spread off of that, and the fees and the spread off of those transactions, exchanging the IQD. And so that will make American banks thrive for, while we're going through that session. And it could be, and I don't know if they're going to make it, you have 4 months to exchange. They could do that because remember with Kuwait, they said you need to exchange it now. You know what I mean? So they might do the same thing with Iraq. It might be a 4-month period where they say you need to exchange it now or we're not going to accept we won't accept it after a certain amount of time. They could do that. We don't know. You know what I mean? We'll see. We've never been here before in America, per se, because we did it over there in Japan, we did it in Germany, and we did it in South Korea, and back then we weren't alive. So so a lot of us weren't alive. Some of you guys were alive, but many of us weren't alive when all that stuff happened back then. So, and a lot of people back then, they went to those countries, they were exchanging in those countries. Okay, they weren't doing it in America. So, and then Kuwait happened, and then that was actually an American thing, and most of us were alive with Kuwait. So yeah, maybe all of us were alive that are listening when that Quake reinstated its value. But only a few people were actually got compensated in that one. Okay, so Let's see. It says the mistake of the past has been a reason to evaluate the work of banks and promote their performance and product to suit the reality of the Iraqi economy, which awaits a promising future. And international auditors said that during the meeting was the subject of the global auditor to be brought to the Iraqi banks, which bear all costs to perform the task of the checking and see the progress of work and come out with results to stand in the reality of the banking sector and the mechanisms of work. Okay, so good article here. I know I screwed it up a lot. It's freaking early morning when I'm doing this. Because this it'll probably be out in the afternoon. If you're watching this in Eastern Standard Time, it will probably be out in the afternoon when you're seeing this. If you're watching this and West Coast time, it'll be like early. It'll still be early morning for you guys. So, anyways, I just wanted to make sure I got this stuff out before I go on throughout the day, and I got other things to do, so I wanted to get this out. So, anyways, yeah, that's good stuff there. Okay, so study of the mechanisms of corporations of Iraqi U.S. banks. We know they've integrated the banks, and then Iraq central bank is integrating with the other international banks as well. That's probably done by now. I know that the probably the workshops are all completed for internationalism, going for the lower notes training and all the other stuff, the ATMs, lower notes trainings, and the revaluation training that the private banks were going through. Also, all that should be done. Rawa's about to be done here soon in a couple of days, and then we have Baghdadi probably will be captured around the same time. And what else is going on? So many things are going on, of course. And then you got the cryptocurrencies that are, Bitcoin could be 10,000 on January 1. Iraq could be 1-to-1 on 1.18 on January 1. I mean, you know what I mean? So we don't know. Everything's up in the air right now, but it's looking really, really positive. You know what I mean? So it's looking real positive. And I know a lot of you guys are saying, man, I would love both of them to happen. I don't want to just see Bitcoin go to 10,000 on January 1 and then continue higher. I want to see Iraq 1-to-1 as well. And I know. So we get it. Bitcoin is doing well. Ethereum is trying to break out here at 315. It has to break 330. Once we break 330, the fun begins for Ethereum. And then we'll see a double. We'll definitely probably see a double. Definitely 500 by the end of the year. It could be 600 by the end of the year, according to the charts. It looks like it will try to go to 600, and then from 600 to 12 to 1300 by March. So a double from here to by January 1st, and then by March 1st. It will double again, okay? And then it might double again from March to May, okay? But I don't know. Okay. But okay, so let's move on here. Bitcoin Cash continuing down, taking a breather after being pumped like crazy. Ripple staying steady. Litecoin at 60. I just seen Litecoin at 62. So somebody probably dumped some Litecoin there at 62 and took their profits and ran. Litecoin is going to be awesome next year. I think it begins within the next week or 2 or 3 max. I think we're going to see a massive move in Litecoin before Christmas. Now, but I think it's going to start in November. I think it's going to start within the next week and a half to 2 weeks. You're going to see a start move in Litecoin. So you better have some. I bought more early this morning. By the time you guys are seeing this, it's probably afternoon. But I bought Litecoin early again this morning. I put, I think, another $2,000 into Litecoin. So I'm not going to miss this train. I told you guys Litecoin is going big. I got it confirmed by Prophet of Solomon and others. So, you know what I mean? So, and a lot of you guys also agree. JP and Mike also agree that Litecoin is going to be at massive. They calling 1,000. And of course, I have other people calling even higher, but I'm not going to give the numbers because they told me not to. But we know that Mike and JP call for 1,000, and they're definitely going to see that next year, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So Yeah, so let's see what happens with that. Dash doing his thing, coming down a little bit here. Look, if I see Dash at 250 again, I'm in. I'm in. I don't care if I have to sell some Ethereum or to get some, or some, maybe some BCC tokens or whatever, but I'm in. I have to pick up Dash. If I see Dash come down to 250, I'm in. Or, you know what I mean? Because I called this thing at 230. Matter of fact, forget 230. We've been talking about Dash since like $20, right? And this thing has just been making people money. So if I see Dash at 250 again, I'm in. I'm going to sell something, or I have to sell something, and I'm going to get me some Dash. I don't care if it's like $500. I really want $1,000 worth of Dash. Because I think it's definitely going to go over 1,000, and it's probably going to go even way higher than that next year. We'll probably see maybe 2,500 next year. I don't know. Maybe even higher, maybe 4,000. Monero is going to be a good one as well. Privacy coin. NEO is going to do well because of China's news. It's going to come out, and they're going to say that they did not ban ICOs, and they're just regulating a little bit more. ICOs are back on. Everybody will flood into NEO. That's why I'm in before that. We can see that's going to happen, and we're in before that big, massive flood in the first few months or few weeks of 2018, when the new Chinese government is settled in. They'll make that announcement that the ICOs are not banned from China, and that means that Miso Go, which is Asia, and NEO, which is Asia, are going to explode. The reason why they were running the first place is because China was allowing ICOs, and they're Chinese, right? So when China blocked that, you saw these two really, really struggle, right? So when they reopen it, guess what? The floodgates are going to come in, and these two are going to flood open. Now, Omisa Go is running a little bit nicely today because they're going to be added on one of the Korean stock exchanges, and I did hit, some of you guys follow me on Twitter, Currency 365. And I did mention to Coinbase and Coinbase support, this is a good time to add Vitalik's other company, Omiso Go, right? At the price that it's at right now. This is a good price to add. You don't want to add them when they're really, really high. This is a good price to add them, okay? So I would have added them when they dropped to $5. That would have been a great time to add them. You know what I mean? So anyway, Miso Go, bright future ahead in my opinion, and I think Litecoin and Miso Go and NEO will all be at $500 by May, but that's just me. I could be completely wrong. We will see. God willing, we will see, right? Lisk, another good one for the future. Zcash, another good one for the future. Zcash should be over $1,000 next year as well. Lisk is I don't know what Lisk is gonna do. I don't have any future predictions for Lisk, but maybe it'll do a 3 to 5 double. Okay, so maybe double to 12, double again to 24, double again to 48. So maybe around $50 for Lisk next year. So maybe, let's see here. EOS might do well next year. I don't know much about EOS except for it was trying to be a Ethereum killer, and they were doing a long ICO. So what could happen next year is Ethereum could pump all the way to, like, let's say 2,000, and then EOS, because they know EOS is about to dump all the Ethereum. Because remember, EOS is still in their ICO, so they bought a bunch of Ethereum, and they have that Ethereum locked. And then once their ICO is over next year, I don't know what time that will be, they're going to then be able to dump those Ethereum right into the open market or whatever they want to do. So Ethereum, knowing that, will probably run their coin up massively and pump it up massively, so then when EOS gets to dump, they're dumping at a high price and not at a low price. You know what I mean? So when the price comes down, it won't, it will be a lot higher than where it's at now. So yeah, I think that worked for everybody. Populous doing well. I don't have any of the markets Populous is on. I don't have an Ether Delta. I don't know how to use that anyways. I don't have HIT BTC. Maybe I need to sign up to HIT BTC. Populous is going to be a good one next year. I told you guys it's going to start running, and after the fork, Well, the fork didn't happen, so the fork got canceled. So after the fork, which is, it doesn't matter if it got canceled or not, I said after the fork, you're gonna see Popular start to run. Okay, so and that's what it's doing now. It went from $3 to $7.82. So it's gonna continue to run, and most likely it's gonna be at $100 by really fast. Okay. Arc at 289. I like Arc for next year as well. I think it's going to cross over that $10 mark. I like Salt as well. Salt's going to do well next year. Electroneum is, I told you guys, Electroneum is going to hit 2.2. Well, maybe I didn't tell you guys on this channel, but if you guys have followed me on my main channel, Currency 365, told you guys that Electroneum was going to hit 0.025, and then it's going to correct itself and go back to 5 cents. Now, Cliff High has told the world that he is willing to help Electroneum. I did contact Richard Ells, the CEO of Electroneum, on Twitter to let him know that Cliff High is interested in helping you fix your problems, because he knows how to fix your problems quickly, right? So you can be able to release the coins and do whatever you need to do and get on with it. So Richard Ells liked my post on Twitter, the CEO of Electroneum, and then he started following me as well. I'll show you guys that on the main channel. I'm not going to show you here, but I'll show you guys that on the main channel. But yeah, so then Electroneum's team started reaching out to Cliff High on Twitter, and so hopefully by the end of the day, Cliff High responds back to them, and then they get to work, right? And then maybe they fly Cliff in to London or whatever the case may be, or they can do it over Skype, and he can show them how to fix their problems over Skype or whatever the case may be. But that's one of the reasons why the price is moving up as well, big time, because they Cliff High talked about it on Jason and Forrest and Big Square's conference they had on live stream on YouTube yesterday night. So that was it was a good one. They, of course, they bashed Bitconnect, which is fine. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and Cliff did the numbers on Bitconnect, or whatever, and he says it's probably going to last. Well, he said that they're probably going to start having problems paying out. Fully paying out everybody that once paid out on December 8th. That doesn't mean that the company is going to be done, right? We've seen it with MPA. Remember when MPA was having problems paying people out? So what they did was, they let it go another like 3-4 days. Well, you had a 72-hour waiting period anyways for MPA, but most of the time MPA would pay out like within 6 to 12 hours, and then it became 24, 48, 72, and so they lasted another 6 months, 7 months, because they just let everybody's payments pile up for a little bit more than 72 hours. People were still getting paid, you know what I mean? But it was, that it was a payment for Monday, on a let's say it was Friday and you were receiving your payment for Monday, but you were receiving a payment every day. It was just backloaded, you know what I mean? Payments. So Bitconnect could do the same thing like that if they do come into some problems. But I don't know, and they could last another 6 months if they're not paying out every day anymore. But within maybe within 48 hours they're paying out, and it could still last another 6 months, in my opinion. Because I think it's gonna last till summer. But Cliff High has done some math with his teams, and he says December is gonna start having problems paying out. So if you're going to have problems starting paying out, all you have to do is then delay the payments for 48 hours. Okay, so then you just put out something saying up to 48 hours for your payments. Okay, and that will keep everybody saying, okay, up to 48 hours. Okay, so you'll still get paid, but it won't be instant pay any longer. It'll be up to 48 hours. You know what I mean, to get paid. And then, they'll keep it going until they can't keep it going anymore. Then they'll run out of there, right? So like MPA did. Okay, so which is fine. If this thing goes to summer, I'll be very happy. You know what I mean? If Bitconnect goes to the summer, I will be very happy. I don't promote it anymore. There's no links to any of the lending bots anymore. I just promote the faucets, right? The free faucets. So the links are in the description for the free faucets. If you want to join the free faucets, you don't have to pay anything. You just claim your faucet rewards, and that's it. And you build up your accounts, and then you'll get your payout on that. It's a really small amount of money, but like I said, somebody told me that they have been doing it since when I started it, and they're almost up to 1 Bitcoin. Free money up to 1 Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin's sitting at right under 7,000. So, you know what I mean? So, and it's going to be at 10,000. So, for free money, that's pretty good. Okay, so that's it. Talk to you guys later. Peace out. I think I'm done for the day on this channel. Check out my videos on the main channel. I'm going to have a crypto report. I'm going to have an Iraq video. Peace.